Well, even with all the change that's taking place on that end from a regulatory perspective, the market seems to be dragging its heels. Some saying it's the uncertainty with the changes that's bringing about a lot of nervousness right now, and then the looming elections keeping things cautious as well. What's your view on the markets right now?
Well, I think it's a combination of factors, Alishia. Look at what has been happening in the last couple of weeks in African countries. I think that has a psychological effect, especially on the foreign investors as they try to rebound their exposure to some emerging markets and Africa. Also, on the domestic scene, people are waiting for some news. There's been some delay, for instance, in the implementation of AMCON, of buying the non-performing loans. We expect that should happen at the end of this month. So by 28, we expect to hear some news that AMCON will have taken up, some more loans of the banking sector. That, of course, will have a psychological boost for the market. Also, the market has been waiting for, earning news for financial year ending 2010. So a combination of factors are going on. It's been pretty quiet, and what you then tend to see is that the market tends to meander and looking for some sense of direction. But a catalyst is probably in the offing soon.
Well, that catalyst, as you've highlighted there, looking to be those earnings results and being cited as a possible drag, though. We've got, it's pertaining to the AMCON deal where there's squabbles on the 1% general provisions on performing loans. So safe to say that while we've got AMCON acting as a buffer on the one hand, it could potentially be a drag on the other.
Well, not a drag. What you have with the 1% provisioning is a bit of a squabble between the Nigerian Accounting Standards Board and the Central Bank of Nigeria. What has happened for 2009 was because of all the changes going on in the financial sector. The CBN had asked the Nigerian Accounting Standard Board to waive the 1% provisioning on total assets because that tends to have an impact on earnings. So what is going on is that provision, the CBN wants that also waived again for 2010 figures as the banks are just trying to recover. The Nigerian Accounting Standard Boards, from their own opinion, think they have authority in that turf, and I think they're trying to work out something. But there's been a bit of confusion in whether the earnings figures for banks will have that provisioning for 2010 financial year end. If you look at it from a holistic point of view, our thoughts is that perhaps, because of all the changes, perhaps, maybe a waiver might be extended to 2010, but I think that's an issue for the central bank and the Nigerian Accounting Standard Boards to trash out. So
that more of a short-term accounting effect with no real impact on near-term fundamentals of the bank. We know that, for example, books are now based on IFRS reporting effective January 2011. The question to ask then, are banks still value for money in your books?
Banks are still value for money. The implementation of IFRS in Nigeria, from our point, should start to be implemented from beginning of 2012, actually.